What if I told you time doesn't heal heartbreak? Time passes, but patterns repeat. And if you don't recognize the patterns, you don't heal, you recycle. How many times have you said, I just have bad luck in relationships? Maybe that's what's happening to me. And what if it's not luck? What if it's emotional standards? Today, we're talking about the difference between waiting to feel better and actually becoming better. So welcome to another episode of From Breakup to Badass. I'm Janita Pui, speaker, wellness coach, and your guide through the process of rebuilding after heartbreak. And today we're diving into something powerful because healing isn't passive. It's not something that just happens because time goes by, right? It's something you participate in. And I am joined by this beautiful woman, Danielle Dam, life redesign coach and founder of the Life by Design method, who helps women navigate breakups, divorce, and major transitions with clarity, confidence, and self-trust. And today we're talking about pattern recognition and emotional standards and why that's the real glow. So, Danielle, thank you so much for coming. I'm going to dive right into it. When you say healing isn't about time, but about the pattern recognition, what patterns are you usually talking about?
I love, first of all, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. I love your energy. You are so vivacious. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
So, it's hard to name one pattern because there's so many that we play with, right? That we exercise in our life. But ultimately, we want to be very aware of what are we doing in repeats. And once you're able to recognize what that repetitive pattern is, you're able to then build that awareness, open up, pause, and before you act, you can then choose a different route in which way to go in. So patterns can be anything from, proving your worth through achievement. It could be anything from creating such tough external shell that no one's able to actually permeate it. So you stand on guard the whole time. It could also be someone who's extremely vigilant. Hypervigilance is a pattern, constantly worrying what is going to happen. And what I do when I typically work with my clients is we use the Enneagram to help us identify what your patterns are, what your unconscious patterns are, so that we can take them, become aware of them, and then move past it so that you can move forward with more authorship in your life as opposed to just living your life in autopilot.
Okay, so you talk about enneagrams. I don't know if people they really understand what are they. So you said that you work with your clients with that. What are the enneagrams?
Oh, I love this question. Um, the Enneagram is a very, very powerful tool. It's a lot of people think it's a personality assessment, but it's not. It actually helps you identify what your core desires and what your core fears are. So typically, when we have core desires and fears, we will then have specific motivations that make us act in a certain way. So when we're able to identify what is that motivation and how is it coming across in your behavior, we're able to feed that motivation in different ways and change the behavior that comes along with that desire and that fear. And there are essentially nine core patterns, but out of the nine core patterns, you can create subtypes, you can create wings. So there is over 27 different types of patterns that can be identified through the Enneagram. And it's going to be very different. So if I'm an Enneagram 8 and you're an Enneagram 8, we can show up very differently in the world. It all depends on what your subtypes and what your wings are. So yeah, it's a very comprehensive assessment, and it really is helpful in bringing awareness to what your true desires and motivations are.
That is so important, Danielle, because am I pronouncing your name right, Danielle? Or
That's how you pronounce it in English. I'm Brazilian, so I pronounce it Daniele. But Danielle,
I
Danny.
love it, Daniele. Danielle, research in attachment theory shows that we are biological wired to repeat relational dynamics that feel familiar, even when they're unhealthy, you know?
Mhm.
Why is that? Why we always repeat the same thing over and over? Because you're talking about that, healing is not about time, it's about patterns. But why we do repeat those patterns over and over?
That's it's an easy answer, and it's not, or it's, I should say it's a simple answer, but it's not an easy move. So we repeat the same patterns over and over again simply because they're familiar,
Mm-hmm.
right? We grew up thinking that dad's never home, so having an absent male figure in your life is familiar. So that's what love is. That's how you see love as being, okay, this is what's acceptable. So for you, you ultimately start searching for partners that show that to you because for you, that's all you understand. That's what's familiar and what has been familiar in your entire life. So once you're able to recognize, okay, this is a pattern that stemmed from childhood, is it serving me now? Is this something that is helping me move forward? Is it feeling good and fulfilling to me? And oftentimes we'll find that it's not, right? And on top of that, I said it wasn't easy to get rid of it because it's so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable to go outside of your pattern. It's so uncomfortable to reach for the unfamiliar. But that is where all your possibilities expand.
Mm-hmm.
If you're constantly doing the same thing over and over again, I mean, Einstein, right?
I
Expecting
love
different
it.
results, right? Yeah, it's the perfect definition of insanity. You're doing the same thing over and over again,
And
expecting different
expecting
results,
different results. Hmm.
and it's still the same thing happening again and again.
Hmm.
So one of the, and I mean, now that we're going on a quote tangent here, the one from Carl Jung speaks perfectly to the Enneagram and pattern recognition, which is until you make the unconscious conscious, it
Conscious.
will direct your life and you will call it fate. So it's
Daniele, I'm getting goosebumps because like I'm thinking about the same quote that you are, but keep going. I'm sorry.
yeah. Yeah, no, no, but it's true, right? I mean, how many times
Mm-hmm.
have we um victimized ourselves, right? You talked briefly in the introduction about luck. You know, we often say, well, I just have bad luck. Well, how disempowering is that?
Mm-hmm.
How disempowering is it to say, well, it's just my bad luck. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing I can do about it. Well, as long as you tell yourself that, that will be your reality. And
Mm-hmm.
it's up to you to make the change and to believe a different version of you, to create a new self-concept so that no, I can break free from these patterns that I've been going over and over again that have been yielding results that I don't even like, I don't even want.
Mm-hmm.
Relationships that ultimately make me feel completely unfulfilled. And you have the power to change that. So it's scary, but it's also super freeing.
Mm-hmm. It is. I think you talked a little bit about it. Like, we repeat it because it feels familiar. And, we have to understand that sometimes, not sometimes, but all the time, our brain is going to keep us on what we know. Why? Because everything that is outside, out of the our comfort zone, it's something that we have to do. And our brain is always like, protecting us. Like, do not go there. Do not do that. You cannot do it. Why? Because it's better to stay here when it feels good. It feels the same. It doesn't, it not necessarily feels good, but it feels comforting. So
Mhm.
everything that is outside your comfort zone, it's going to take effort. And sometimes well, like, it's not that we don't want that. I was listening to a podcast yesterday and, they were talking about that. Like, we know what to do. We know the steps of anything. Like, for example, if I want to lose weight, I know what I have to do. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm over 50, so I know that I have to eat more proteins, that maybe I have to eat more during the day. Maybe, the wine that I love, I shouldn't be drinking the wine. And right now with I can tell AI to tell me exactly what we do. But the thing is that why we don't do it. And
Yeah.
that's the secret. But if we don't do it, if I want to lose weight and I don't do that, I'm not gonna lose the weight, or I'm not gonna transform my life, or I'm not gonna launch the book, or whatever it is, because it's easier, because our brain is always gonna protect us. And to protect us, you have to stay in your comfort zone. But in your comfort zone, and you said it, transformation is not here. It's
Yeah.
over there, which is
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But
The interesting thing, just real quick, the interesting thing that
Mhm,
you said about the brain. So the brain always picks the path of least resistance.
mhm,
The reason being, you already have neural pathways that have been created in your brain to execute something in a certain way. So as soon as you change that pattern, it requires so much brain power. It actually requires so much energy,
mhm,
mental energy, brain energy, to actually create that new pattern, to actually create that new route in order for you to start doing it
mhm,
more consistently over and over again. So it is, you're right, it is more energy expensive, right, to go in a different direction because it is unfamiliar.
mhm,
But also, on top of that, it also brings you into the present moment
mhm,
and out of autopilot. And once you're out of autopilot, your level of awareness is so heightened, and the ability to really be in the here and now expands way more. And
mhm.
you're able to see things that normally you wouldn't have.
I love it. Oh, I love it. Daniele, when I asked you the first question, and we said like healing, it's not about time, it's about patterns. But you just talked about being aware and being in the present moment, right?
Mhm.
And I do think sometimes it's hard for people to understand those patterns. Why? Because we're not aware. And like I love research, and I always include research when I do the podcast. But according to research, we have between 60 and 80,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of thoughts. And from those thoughts, 90% are the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And from those, 80% are negative. However, we're 95% unconscious, just
Mhm.
5% conscious. So if I want to change, I have to be conscious of the unconscious, just like Carl Jung said. So
Mhm.
how does someone know they're repeating patterns when they don't even know what patterns they have? Like you said before, or, oh, I just have bad luck with relationships. So how does someone know they're repeating the pattern instead of just having bad luck in the relationship?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the body always knows before the mind has the ability to make logic of what's happening. Right. And this is coming from someone who's completely somatically inept. I've been a weightlifter for a really long time. So for me, pain is gain. So it took me a long time to fall into my body and start really feeling my emotions and start this and understanding the signals that my body's giving me. Your emotions will tell you before you're able to rationalize anything that's happening in front of you. So for example, a lot of times people crave the butterflies in
Mhm,
relationships. You know, they're like, "Oh, I have the butterflies. Ooh, I get so excited." And that, not to say that that's bad, but if every time you meet someone and that person is creating an excitation in your body, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing. Your body could potentially be telling you, "Hey, there's something going on here energetically, metaphysically, there could be something going on here for you to be aware of." So it's important to start feeling in and tapping into your body so that you can start building that awareness. And it's not easy. It really requires attunement, somatic attunement. And that's practice. That takes practice. It takes breath work. It takes meditation. And meditation doesn't necessarily have to be like the sitting down and like focusing. It can just simply be walking alone without
mhm,
any other distractions and just feeling how your body's feeling in that moment as you're walking. That is a form of meditation. But stepping outside of your mind and into your body is the first thing I would recommend someone to do and start listening to your instincts as opposed to logic and rationalizing everything. Because sometimes the mind, again, will always go through the path of least resistance as opposed to really addressing what could potentially be happening. And maybe that uncomfortable route is there, but the path of least resistance is always easier. So tapping into the body and not the mind. Secondly, it would be to, and this may be, I may be pushing some buttons here, but you have to be introspective. You have to see if this is consistently happening to me. What is a common denominator in all of these scenarios?
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's us,
Mm-hmm.
right? If we are the common denominator, then we have the ability to change it. We have the ability to look inward and say, okay, this is no longer what I'm choosing to do and choosing to practice, and therefore I'm going to make changes for myself. So that would be one way of looking at it. And also just like identifying, hey, listen, am I seeing the different people but same relationship constantly, consistently? Is that always what's happening to me? I'm in the same dynamic over and over again. Then that's also something else to kind of look at. Yeah, it's always inward. Introspection is your
Mm-hmm.
best friend at this point.
All right. So let's do some coaching.
Ah, okay.
You're going to be my coach. I'm going to be the
Let's do
coach,
it.
right? So this is what has happened to me in the past. Like, I I go on a relationship, right? It's a good every relationship that I've had, it's been better, better and better. However, it takes me years before getting again into another relationship. Is that a pattern? Is that a way of like, I mean, do you see something here? Because it's always like 4 years. I'm like, okay, 4 years and a half. It should be coming. It should be coming somewhere. But I've been by myself for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
So is that a pattern that I'm not seeing? Or is it normal? Because I started, oh my God, studying Kabbalah.
Hmm.
And, he says that you can have the love of your life just like that. And I'm like, where is it? Like, what am I doing? So if I were your client, what would you say, or what questions would you ask me?
Well, first I would say in terms of the Kabbalah, and you can have your person like this. The first thing I would ask is instead of looking for the one, can you be the one?
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and once you become the one, you will no longer be in search for the one because you already have that person there. It's you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You are your soulmate. So instead of looking outward to fill in whatever void that you're trying to fill, if that's the case
Mm-hmm.
in the relationship or in your life, then how can you create enough self-reliance and safety within yourself to love yourself so deeply that the next person that shows up is going to see that love and going to be excited to be a part of it. So it's not necessarily looking out for someone else, it's how can I become that person for
Mm-hmm.
myself so that and once you become that person, like attracts like,
Yeah.
right? It's about the law of attraction. You will ultimately attract that person. In regards to the 4 years break, it's hard for me to answer that because I don't know what you've been doing for 4 years. So if you're 4 years and it ultimately, again, time is not going to heal.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you do with that time. So
Right.
are you spending the 4 years really trying to cultivate the one within yourself? And if that's the case, then kudos to you. That's
Yeah, that's the
amazing.
case. Yeah. I'm
Then
working
that's
on myself and
amazing.
I love it. I love me.
Yeah, then that's beautiful. And then it's, the partner that you're hoping to someday attract will simply be the icing on the cake. It will not be someone who
Hmm.
completes you.
I agree.
And that is a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
And ultimately in Kabbalah, they talk about surrendering a lot.
Yeah.
So once you surrender to the idea of I am enough,
Hmm.
that's ultimately it.
Hmm.
That icing, that, the cherry on top, that will
Yeah.
come. but it's
I love that.
ultimately, yeah, it's ultimately living as though you are enough
Mhm.
because you are, you know?
I'm doing this mantra. I'm whole. I'm already whole as I am, and I love that. I'm
That's beautiful.
already whole as I am.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for coaching me.
No, I mean that was
There's
even
nothing
coaching.
wrong with me.
No, of course not. And I think it's important for people to also understand that it's it's important to spend time alone.
Yeah.
It's more important for you to choose to be single so that you can elevate as a human being, so that the next person that you partner up with can experience that wholeness. I can speak from experience that my past relationship was very, very oh God, this word is used so often. I'm just going to throw it out there just because I think most
Go
women.
ahead, girl.
But it was a very toxic relationship, you know, and I know that had I gone into another relationship right after that one, it would have ended up being exactly the
Hmm.
same one. I would have created the same pattern over and over again because I hadn't healed from it. It's
Hmm.
important for us to spend time alone, for us to heal, to nurture, to lick our wounds a little bit, and then fully come out of our little cocoon fully healed so that we can share that most beautiful parts of us. So we're able to love and care for the other person just as much as
Hmm.
they're caring for us.
Yeah. And I think, you know, before, like when we met, before recording, yeah, you know what? Like this menopause, brain fuck.
I
I
got
just
you, girl.
forgot what I was gonna say. Don't like okay, I don't want to blame everything in menopause, but it's there. Okay,
It's a thing. It's a
I
thing.
it's real.
It's real.
Daniele, at the beginning, when I was introducing you, you talk about like I said I talk about emotional standards.
Yeah.
So, what do you mean by emotional standards and how they're different from just having higher expectations?
Okay. So I think emotional standards are mostly based on your internal state as opposed to um, someone checking things off a box,
Okay.
right? You can have someone, you're like, I want the guy that has a good job. I want the guy who, you know, makes me feel like a woman. I want, you know, you have all these things, but ultimately, how are you feeling in that relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Is this person creating enough safety for me to be fully me? And remember how I talked about your body knowing before your mind is able to make any logic out of it?
Mm-hmm.
Sit with your body when you're with someone before anything else and just let your body speak to you. Your emotional standards, if anything feels off, your body will tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Your heart will race so high to the point where you're gonna think it's it's gonna come out of your shirt. And sometimes, yeah, that can be fun and exciting. But at my age, I'm 45. At my age, I'm looking for stability. I'm looking for
Mm-hmm.
someone to walk the path alongside me, not someone to create a roller coaster out of my life.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
So, yeah, so it's looking for that, right? Looking for someone who normalizes your emotional state as opposed to create these peaks and valleys.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I mean by emotional standards. If you are able to be honest with yourself, is this person creating safety in my life and clarity in where this relationship is going? If they are, then beautiful. But if there's any doubt, any confusion, this person's probably not the person for you. It's
Mm-hmm.
probably not the person for you. You don't want to uh, prioritize their needs or put yourself in the back seat for someone else. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I mean by emotional standards. You want to make sure that your level of emotional stability is at a perfect equilibrium. This person is providing equanimity and not a crazy roller coaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, you know, like hearing you talk about expectation emotional standards. Expectation is about others, is about like what I expect from them. Like I expect them to text me, to call me, to buy me flowers, but the standards is about you.
Hmm.
And I love that part because studies show that people with strong internal boundaries report higher relationship satisfaction and lower anxiety levels. And this is great. And for me, and I think talking in general about relationships, I, for me, it was always about nurturing other people and never about boundaries and about my emotional standards. And ever since I came back from Colombia to the United States, I always say that I started with my friends. My friends showed me what it was, to prioritize yourself, your emotions, your life. And now I'm like, okay, I don't care, like me first, me first, me first. And I was never like that. And it
Yeah.
feels good because it feels like, I'm the most important person in my life. It's not the boyfriend, it's not the friend. I mean, I'll do something for you because I'm the best friend ever,
Mhm.
but me first. If
Yeah.
if I'm gonna feel okay, if it's not gonna, my emotions are not gonna be in a roller coaster, fine. But if not, I'm sorry. And I have learned in the past 4 years, and maybe, like I'm becoming, just like you said before, I'm becoming the person that I want to see in my relationship. And
Yeah.
that's why I haven't been just dating because of dating or for the physical contact. Like, I don't care. I really want the real thing. I want the connection because I'm doing so much for me, for the people around, with my work, and I'm not in a place to be wasting my time for someone who's not gonna be in my emotional standards. So
Yeah. No, I get that. And you know what's really interesting as you say that, and this is something that I'm probably going to go th through as well. I've been single for almost 2 years now. Um, it's very easy for us to say, I'm totally healed. I am good. It's very easy for us to say that
yeah.
because we don't have a partner that's next to us testing
Mhm.
us. Our partners will always be our biggest teachers. So I'm excited for both you and I, for us to finally step into a relationship and see
Mhm.
that work, all that work that we've done come into
Mhm.
fruition. Are we able to actually stand in our ground, stand in these emotional standards, and really be abide by them and really
Mhm.
sit with it and say, hey, even though this is a new partnership and I'm excited and I want him to stay because he's so yummy and da da da, am I able to still have that, have the yumminess, but also stand in my ground?
Mhm.
Right? That will be the true test. So I'm excited to see what unfolds for you as you bring in your partner and see how that goes. And it's very easy for us to sit here
Mhm.
and say, I'm fully healed. I'm healed. But I have no one poking at me. I
Yeah,
have
that's
no
true.
one saying like, hey, I'm gonna test you here. Right?
Mhm.
And that's the true test of how well have you really integrated this work.
Mhm. Yeah. I think, yeah, just like you said, I think I'm ready, but I'm not in a place that I want to rush just because, like I'm
Yeah.
okay. I'm
Yeah.
perfectly fine. I'm working on my book. I'm gonna launch it August 2nd, and it's
Let's
called From Breakup, and it's
go.
called From Breakup to Badass. And
Woo-woo.
I already pre-sold like 30 books, which is amazing, and I need to
Oh,
start
that's
writing.
amazing. That's amazing.
So, so I'm in a state that I guess my emotional standards are high because of me, because I want it's not about protection, it's about like not wasting the time with someone is that is not going to add. I
Yeah.
think I have a lot to add to a relationship and I want the same, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
you
fair.
and let's talk about that. So you
Yeah.
call raising emotional standards the real glow up.
Yeah.
Why? Explain that.
Well, okay. So we often talk about glow up as in like, hey, I got my breakup body, like I have like, the flat tummy, the defined arms, the booty's popping.
I'm like showing my arms all the time.
And that is a beautiful thing, but your internal state will reflect in your outward and in your reality.
Mm-hmm.
So you become the change that you want to see, and that is internal change, is not external change. You can have you ever met someone who gorgeous, a beautiful person, and then you talk to them and all of a sudden their personality just doesn't seem quite right, and all of a sudden they start becoming less pretty,
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah.
right?
Or the
How
contrary as
or
well.
the
Yeah.
contrary, yeah, or the contrary. Someone who is average looking, and all of a sudden you get to know them, and oh, they become
Mm-hmm.
like the most beautiful person. That is what I mean by glow up. Your internal state, your awareness of your wholeness, of how beautiful and loving and worthy you are, will ultimately shine through.
Mm-hmm.
That will be your glow up. It doesn't matter what's on the surface. Ultimately, like the reality is we all age and we're
Mm-hmm.
all going to slowly not look as youthful and young as we do now. But what is the internal work? What's that invisible work that you're doing? Is that going to elevate you? Is that going to make you spark, regardless of what you look like on the exterior?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean. That's the real glow up is the internal work that you do with
Mm-hmm.
yourself and how you also pay it forward. How do you allow that energy to spread instead of just keeping it confined to you? It's such a beautiful thing to watch someone who's been doing the work and really doing the internal work and then have them go out and into the world and
Mm-hmm.
see how magnetizing they are, right? People just come to them and they talk
Yeah.
to them and everyone, it's like they have this beautiful aura around them.
Mm-hmm.
How beautiful is that? Imagine walking around having this aura that ultimately just magnetizes people towards
Mm-hmm.
you because you're just so irresistible.
Yeah. I met this girl. I go to cryotherapy and there's this woman. I mean, it's just not a girl. She's a woman like me. Well, I'm a girl. Anyway, um, I mean, every time I see her, she has this light, right? And the last time I saw her, I had in my car a present for her because she lights up the room when she comes, right? And I just I mean, she's not my friend or anything, right? I
Yeah.
just see her sometimes, but she's so amazing, and she has told me stuff. Like you talk to strangers, like the bartender. I usually am the
Yeah.
bartender because I love to like listen to people, so I'm like the bartender. And so she has talked to me about several things, and I just saw her and I wanted to give her a present, and I wrote her a card, and I guess I saw a little bit of myself in her. Like we try to do so many things for other, and we always are strong, and yes, we need to do this, and yeah, I can go for it, and yeah, and I don't care. But it's okay to break down, you know? And I just wanted to say, something nice to her because I know like sometimes, she's taking care of the home, of the husband, the kids, and the problems, but who takes care of her? And a completely stranger, I gave her a car and I gave her some like mask for the face. And she was like, I love you. And I'm like, I love you
Oh.
too. So that was, I don't know why oh, well, I said that because we were talking about glow up. And
Yeah.
yes, sometimes, just like you said at the beginning, oh, I love your energy. Now that it's not like I'm dating again, but I have a profile, right? The people in the pictures, like several guys, and they have mentioned, oh, it feels like you have a lot of energy because of your pictures. I'm like, oh, can you feel that? Like, can you sense that? Like, you don't even know me, but yes, I do have a lot of energy. So,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that speaks to the work that you've done. So that's
yes.
exactly what I meant by your internal glow up is really where it's at. It's not
Yeah.
your six pack or your,
Mm-hmm.
like arms or whatever, although that's a nice to have, but
Mm-hmm.
ultimately is how can you create that aura?
Yeah.
And also, I'd like to just add in regards to that story that you just shared. There's something called positive projections. When you see, so we're all familiar with regular projections, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that person is doing this. And then you're just like, well, there's something that they're doing is saying something about you. So let's
Mm-hmm.
address that before you start judging. It's the same thing with positive projections. So when you see someone and you're like, wow, this person has this beautiful glow, in order for you to be able to identify that glow, you have to have it within you.
Oh,
So
oh
that's
my God.
maybe,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So also when you're seeing someone and doing amazing things and you're like, wow, I really am putting them up on a pedestal. This person is amazing. And you just realize that in order for you to be able to identify anything on someone else is because you recognize it. There's some sort of recognition that's within
Beautiful.
you as well. Yeah.
That's awesome. Like people, they're always a mirror of something that we lack or that's something that we want or we have, just like you
Yeah,
said.
exactly.
Okay, so we talked about patterns and that if, in order to change those patterns, you need to
Mhm.
recognize them. What happens afterwards? So once someone recognizes a pattern, right?
Mhm.
What's the
Yep.
next step? How do they actually stop repeating the pattern?
Okay, so remember how we talked about the neural pathways in the brain and
Mm-hmm.
how the path of least resistance is always the easiest route. So instead of just completely cutting off those wires, because that can essentially create some tension in your nervous system, what we want to do is create what I like to call micro integrity promises. So these are small little steps
Mm-hmm.
that will allow you to start strengthening the other neural pathways, right? So for example, if and you were talking about the gym earlier, right? Getting in shape. So
Mm-hmm.
if getting in shape is a goal and you want to start going to the gym, instead of saying, all right, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. I've never been to the gym before, but I'm going to start now 5 days a week. I'm going to be there for 2 hours. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do all these things. Okay, that'll last a day and then you will, or a week. All right, I don't want to undercut anyone. It could last up to a week, but then ultimately you'll give up because it's too big. It's too big of a goal for you to
Mm-hmm.
reach from starting point. So what you want to do is create micro integrities. Again, using the gym as an example, it would maybe be, hey, this week I'm just going to look for a gym.
Mm-hmm.
Not even going to step into it. I'm just going to look for it. I'm just going to research it online, right? Like I'm going to save some time to do that. And then you do it, and then that starts telling your brain, hey, you said you would do something, you did it. I'm starting to trust that you know what you're doing, and I'm going to allow you to go a little further. You're pushing the envelope a little bit more. So those are smaller steps that you take, and ultimately, Peter James Clear, talks about habit stacking. And then
Mm-hmm.
you start habit stacking, right? Slowly start increasing specific behaviors to help you achieve whatever goal you're looking to
Mm-hmm.
achieve. Whether that is maybe you start dating again. Perfect example, right? Anita, you started a profile, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
like, I haven't gone on a date yet, but I started a profile. That's a micro integrity promise. I'm gonna start stepping out there and I'm just gonna do just one thing. I'm just gonna dip my finger right there and see what happens
Mm-hmm.
for like a week. And then after a week, okay, maybe I will talk to someone. Okay, talk to someone. You write these smaller steps so that you can build self-trust again. Because
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, if you go too far forward, the brain will find a way to, and I don't want to call it sabotage, but it'll veer off back into that
Mm-hmm.
old pattern. So it's allowing yourself to do these micro steps
Mm-hmm.
first. That and also pausing. So once you recognize your pattern, once you become aware of it, practice the art of pausing. So once you start pausing, it allows you to stop in the middle of whatever's happening. Instead of reacting to the situation, you can actually sit with it and choose how you want to respond instead of
Mm-hmm.
reacting straight into what you normally have done.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Several things that I want to talk about here, like listening to you. But the last thing that you said, like, I mean, you just talk about emotions and pausing. And I love that because emotions are basically what they are is a burst of chemicals that ignite and are absorbed in 6 seconds. That's why people talk about the 90-second rule, right? It's a minute and a half. Don't do any, don't do anything. Do not act. You breathe the emotion and oh my God, it goes away. So like I'm not it, if you knew me when I was 20, 25 years old, I was a pain in the ass. It was either, it was like really, it was either my way or the highway. Like I
Yeah.
was right, you were wrong. It took me like several years to learn that, like, I know nothing, right? Like, just like the quote, like, I just know that I know nothing, right?
Yeah, the more you know, the less you know.
Right.
Yeah.
But so I love that because when we understand, when we pause, it's easier to see everything in a different perspective, right? But you also talk like really, today's episode has been amazing because every time you talk about somebody, I'm like, I'm thinking about James Clear. And I just, and I remember when you were talking about little steps, I think people overestimate what little steps I do. Like if I do it for my birthday, I'm launching my book and I'm coming back to, I don't know if my body when I was 40, but the menopause is like taking care of that my stomach, like you don't see just the abs, you see like one big one, right? And I don't want that. So that's my goal. But it's not like I'm gonna get there tomorrow. It's about the things what that I do. And what's the first thing that I did? I signed up for a gym because I wanted to swim and I wanted to add sauna like in for my wellness, right? For my well-being.
Yeah.
So next is like, okay, I'm gonna start going. If it's 20 minutes, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna work on abs so I can be better. And is the little things. And James Clear in the book, I love this example. He talks about the cycling team, the England cycling team, right? So he talks about that and how they have never won any medals. So they bring in for 5 years the new director. He did some changes, but I mean, you guys, if you're listening to this or if you're watching, just listen to this. So the changes were so simple. One change was lighter clothes, right? When they were cycling. The other change, they changed the mattress and the pillows for something more comfortable so they could sleep better. They taught them how to wash their hands so they wouldn't get sick. They changed the oil in the tires. I mean, little things, but all those little things, they amount to something. And after 5 years, they won medals in the Tours of France, in the Olympics. It was amazing. So those little steps that you were talking about before, Daniele, they do work. So do not overestimate the power of that. And one other book that I love, The Power of One More from Ed Millett.
Yeah.
It's like, I trained two of my friends twice a week, right? They don't exercise, but with me, they exercise twice a week. And they're like all the time, like, oh, look at my muscles. Like, that's good. But they always want to stop. And I'm in front of the camera, it's like, no, you do it. And then I'm like, so sweet. But during that hour, I'm like, no, one more. You can do it. If you don't do it with me, stand more. But what it says is like, you always push yourself for that one more. And I don't know why I'm talking about this, but it just came up.
But that also brings to it, again, I love the energy. The 1% rule. So if you are just to do
Right.
simply 1% more
Mhm.
today than you did yesterday, and if you were to consistently do that for an entire year, that's a complete change. That's
It is.
365 degrees, you know? So just like you said, don't underestimate the power of the small steps and
Mhm.
small changes and just consistency too. And also adding that once, people talk a lot about discipline and consistency. After a while of doing something long enough, it no longer becomes something that you have to do. It just becomes part of your routine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one here compromises on whether or not they're going to brush their teeth before they leave the house in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone does it. It's what you do, right? Same thing with these micro integrity moves. It's just
Mm-hmm.
what you do. It is simply who you are. And that also brings me back to the whole concept of self-concept. Who you believe you are to be, that's who you will become.
Mm-hmm.
So if you believe yourself to be a magnet for amazing people, that's who you will be. If you believe yourself to be someone who really dedicates their time
Mm-hmm.
and their effort to wellness and their health, that's who you will be. It's all about your self-belief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. That's just like a quote that I always use is whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. So if you
Exactly.
believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't.
Exactly.
Wow, that's
Exactly.
beautiful. Okay, so what's one emotional standard every woman should adopt after a breakup?
Oh, this is great. We talked a lot about the emotional roller coaster and those ebbs and flows of relationships, but it's important to know or to consider if someone is costing your peace, your clarity, your self-respect, it's too expensive.
Mm,
It is just simply too expensive. You should not dim yourself or lower yourself down, lower your emotional standards down to please someone else. And if you
mm,
find yourself doing that, that is where the pattern recognition goes. Why? What stories are you saying to yourself that makes you feel that this is okay for you to do?
mm-hmm,
What is that story? And
mm-hmm,
where did you get that story from? And where have you proven that story to actually be wrong?
mm-hmm,
Right? And then once you start exploring that, you gain choice behind it. But it's that pause. Do
mm-hmm,
not compromise your self-respect, your peace, and your confidence.
mm-hmm. There is another quote that says that we are the sum of the five people that we relate to, right? Something like that. And I don't know if it was Oprah or who said it, but one of my emotional standards right now, like I'm a very content person. I'm happy. I don't talk bad about people. I'm really loving the person that I am right now and the state that I am. I mean, I'm sure that I need to work on a lot of things like my belly, but um I'm just content. So if a person is gonna come to my life with like drama, and I do understand, like, look, like sometimes we're not feeling okay, and that's fine. But like the repetitive things, like the negative people, I cannot deal with that anymore. And I used to. And I used
Yeah.
to because I'm a giver and I'm a understanding person and I want to nurture people, but you know what? Not anymore. Now I'm ready somebody to nurture me, to take care of
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, I feel that too. It's so important not to place judgment on others, especially because you don't know the stories that they're going
me.
through.
Hmm.
Um, but we all deal with ebbs and flows in life, right? And we're never going to reach this like plateau of equanimity. There's
Hmm.
always going to be something that's testing. So the goal is to find a partner that allows you to be at 10% and they'll show up at 90 and vice versa. So
Hmm.
it's someone who fair is an equal, right? Fair is I show up as thir at 30, you show up at 70, some
Hmm.
days you'll show up at 20 and I'll
Right.
show up at 80,
Hmm.
right? And I think I can't remember who the author was. Oh, Brene Brown
Oh,
who
all
talked
right.
about that. Yeah, who talked about like the fair is an equal in relationships, right? Sometimes you
Hmm.
guys have to have this in order to make it work.
Hmm.
And again, it's not to say that someone can walk into my life who is dealing with drama, who is dealing with issues that are beyond my knowledge.
Hmm.
But it's up to me not to judge that person's chapter, not to judge their entire book by this one chapter that they're showcasing.
Hmm.
So, and then it's up to that person to be able to share that, right? If they're willing to share, hey, this is what's going on and this is where I am and what's happening. It's not going to be forever, but I'm dealing with this right now. Is that something that you're willing to be a part of? Yes
Hmm.
or no? And that's up to you to make the choice as to whether or
Right.
not, yeah. So ultimately, the choice is yours.
Okay. Before I go to my three questions that I
Yeah.
do at the end, I have a question for you. Like based on what you said, can we heal? Like, let's say I just got divorced and, or maybe like 6 months ago, and I know I'm not healed. If I go into a new relationship, can I heal inside the relationship?
I think you can. I think you can. I think it's going to depend on the emotional intelligence of both parties. I don't want to say, no, you absolutely cannot heal in a relationship. I think you can, but it's also going to depend on, where is each individual in their emotional capacity. So
Hmm.
it really depends on that.
Okay.
It's hard to say a yes or no.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So the next three questions you can answer in a word or a sentence, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to start with
Fire.
the first one.
Okay.
If you could share just one practice or mindset that truly helped you heal after your breakup, what would it be?
It's Again, it's not wavering on my emotional standards. If something doesn't bring me peace, if something doesn't bring me clarity, especially clarity, if someone has me second guessing where we are, what we're doing, then that person isn't for me. The person that is for me is going to be like, hey, you, I like you. Let's do this. And I'll be like, great. But if it creates more confusion in my life, it is simply not worth my time.
Hmm. Okay. So, knowing what you know now in your 40 something years that you mentioned, 43, right?
45.
What would you say to yourself when you were going through your breakup?
You got this. You
Oh,
got
of
this.
course you do.
Yeah, you got this. I think oftentimes in relationships, especially when it's a tough relationship or a tough breakup, there's a lot of shame and guilt that goes along with it. For me, it was having stayed in a relationship for so long,
Hmm.
forcing it.
Hmm.
So it's practicing a lot of self-forgiveness and compassion, and also saying, you can't control the past, but you
Hmm.
absolutely have all the control of how you want your story to end. So take the wheel.
Hmm.
You got this.
I think something that I would say is like this too shall pass.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
just like the ring. Uh, as I see my life right now, like I
Yeah.
know that everything that I go through, it's gonna pass, and I'm gonna make it happen, and something better is gonna come up. Because if I see my past and then what happened, everything has been for the best. So now it's like, okay, if something happens to me and it's not, if I feel like, oh, like this is not what I expected, I'm like, there's a reason for that. Do not worry.
Yeah.
I remember when I moved back from Colombia, my condo, my old condo, I live there right now,
Hmm.
a pipe burst. So I
Yeah.
could have said, oh my God, I'm coming back. Like, I don't have my condo ready. But I changed my whole condo. And that was my condo when I was single. And I was coming back, divorced, again, single to the same condo. No, I changed
So
everything.
you,
So it was for the
oh,
best.
nice. Yeah. So you
I,
renovated,
ch-
new, fresh
I
start.
renovated the whole thing. It's a new condo. It's a new condo with new
Amazing.
floors, kitchen, everything. So it's a way, it takes time to be like that, but oh my God, it's amazing. No,
Yeah.
and go ahead, go ahead.
No, I think it's also important to and this isn't for every situation, but I find it helpful to ask, what is life trying to show me or teach me
Right.
in this moment?
Hmm.
So that I can make sure it doesn't happen again in the future.
Hmm.
So just being more curious and inquisitive as to
Yeah.
what's going on. Because that is also more empowering, right? Okay, instead of like succumbing to, oh, this is what it is, like it's fine,
Mhm.
whatever. And, like toxic positivity isn't going to get you too far.
Yes.
So it's more so understanding what is it? What is the lesson behind this right
Yeah.
now? And how
What
can
do
I
I have to do?
implement it? Yeah.
Mhm. And I think it was Tony Robbins. He always, well, a lot of people say it, but he always says that the quality of your life is the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. So,
Yeah.
what is this for? What do I have to learn? What does this situation, like this divorce, is teaching me? For me, my divorce, it was like the master of putting together all of the tools that I had. It was beautiful. It's the best thing. I would do it all over again. Like
Yeah.
really, I would do it all over again.
Yeah.
Okay. Third question. What
Mhm.
does the word badass mean to you?
Oh, wow. Okay. So badass. I think in terms of women who are here watching us, I think you become a badass when you are unwavering in your integrity to self, in your commitment to what makes you happy, what makes you feel whole, what makes you shine. That ultimately will be and create you as a badass. It's just be yourself, unwavering,
Beautiful.
unapologetically, just you.
Yeah, I
You
love
know?
that word.
Yeah.
Daniele, it has been amazing, but I want everybody to know where can they find you. We're gonna have all the information in the description of the episode. And what are you working on right now? That people can get in touch with you, work with you.
Sure, yeah. Thanks for asking. So there are a couple ways that you can get a hold of me. You can or I'm sorry, on Instagram, Daniele_Coach Dam. That's the easiest one to find me. You can also there in my Instagram page on the link in bio, you have the opportunity to find all of my offers. One of which I newly launched is the Power Hour, and this is a once a month meeting where we get a group of women together and we talk about one specific theme for the month. And it's been a blessing to have this really safe container of women being able to share their wisdom and really talk about how to move forward in the world as they move through the transitions in life.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Daniele, thank you so much. And for you, you're watching us
Oh,
or listening to us. If this
thank you.
episode resonated with you, share it with someone who keeps saying, "Oh, I just have bad luck." No, it's your patterns. And tag us on Instagram. You can tag me at Janita Pui Wellness. And if you want to work with me outside the podcast, send me an email at info@janitapui.com. And that's what we have for you today. And we are going to leave you with the same thing in every episode. Your heart didn't break you, it woke you up. Now go live like the badass that you are.